I was thinking about the suction accumulator, and I believe it was Trevor that said this. There's a little orifice at the bottom of a suction accumulator, and my gosh, I should have brought a picture of it. Let me see if I can find a picture of a suction accumulator real quick. I'm going to bring up the Google, see if we have a cutaway, because I have an interesting question to ask you guys about what is my favorite thing, best practices. Best practices sounds so plain. It's like the most vanilla thing you could say. Hey, are you partaking in best practices? Perhaps you should get best practices down pat. In fact, I should make a section of this show called Best Practices and have it be sarcastic just because of that. It's kind of who I am. All right, let's say HVAC Accumulator. Someone texting me now? Hey, someone is texting me. I can't read that just yet, but if someone's watching the show and texting me, I'll try to read it in just a second. HVAC Accumulator. Let me see if I can find a picture of it opened up. You figure there's somebody that's cut one in half that decided to put it. Oh, that's good enough right there. All right, let's see if I can bring that up here. Open image in a new tab like a boss. Hey, it's tiny. That's great. It's the tiniest image in the world. Let me jack this thing up. Okay, I think I can do this now. I'm going back to the other screen. Let me turn that off. All right, let me get off of that. So an accumulator has an inlet that comes from the evaporator side of an AC system, or really it's either system. It's coming from the evaporator side and going back into the compressor. So you see you have an inlet and an outlet. Now it doesn't always look like you see in the picture here, but you see at the bottom is an orifice. Okay, there's an orifice in this thing so that oil gets back into that line going to the compressor and oil returns to the compressor. So here is my question. Seeing this thing right here, every time you have a compressor failure, should you change out the accumulator just on the off chance that that occluded orifice, if it is in fact blocked, caused a compressor failure due to lack of oil? I just want to see what you guys think, because I never really thought like that. I've changed out a few of them along with the compressor just because they're all rusted and stuff. These things look pretty rough after a while. That little bolt you see on the bottom, right there where the oil's at, a lot of times it's rusted through right there. That's when they leak. They rust out on the bottom because they're sitting in dirt and stuff at the bottom of a condenser for like 10 years, and no one gets the dirt out of the bottom of their condenser because just most people don't have their stuff cleaned. I'm just wondering, because it seemed like it might be a good idea, because if you can go ahead and get that, which typically they're not all that expensive. This is a less than $100 product, which I guess is not like no money at all, but still. I'm just wondering, would you guys do it? Would you guys switch out the accumulator on every compressor replacement on a system? That's what I'm curious about here. Let me get back off of that. Come back over to the live stream and bring back up my other paper. So I'm curious. Let's see. Michael Frank says, when you remove the compressor, you can dump the oil into a measuring can to see if any is missing. Absolutely. That's a good thing too. You can see how much. You figure that there's a little bit in the system somewhere, but if you're missing, like, I don't know, let's say you have an oil charge of 30 ounces. If you're missing 15, 20 ounces, you can say, okay, let's take a closer look at it. It just might be because a lot of times there's a leak or low charge, and under low charge, you have low refrigerant velocity, so the oil doesn't make it back. So you might go up to the evaporator and have like a few ounces come out of that. So I'm just thinking that might be best practices. I need to get a graphic that plays when I say best practices. It's like a little thing that goes across the screen on the top. It's like curved. Best practices. I'll get that made. I'll hire the guys at Fervor to do it for me. Jessica Egan says, according to my class yesterday, you can remove it, dump it, and if it has a lot of oil or debris, it's best to change it. That sounds perfectly reasonable. If you want to watch more videos just like this one, click on this playlist right here. If you want to see our brand new video, click right here. If you want to find out more about the great sponsors that make this show happen, click up here. And to join our email list where I notify you when we're going live, click right here.